It all started with something small. So small you could have mistaken it for nothing. In 2008, deep inside Siberia's Denisova cave, archaeologists pulled a tiny fragment of bone from the soil. When they unearthed this bone, they didn't expect much. Maybe a Neanderthal scrap, or perhaps a modern human. But they were so wrong. When geneticists sequenced the DNA, they froze. This wasn't Neanderthal. It wasn't Homo sapiens either. It was something else entirely. A new kind of human that no one had ever seen before. That little bone belonged to a young girl who lived about 50,000 years ago, and it was found in no other place than a cave known as the Denisovan cave. Because of how strange this bone was, scientists realized that there could be more from where that came, so they called her kind the Denisovans. Suddenly, our neat family tree of us and the Neanderthals exploded into chaos. Why not? There was now proof that another human species had walked the earth alongside us. Not just that, there was a fat chance that they were equally sophisticated and powerful. And yet, despite the staggering evidence, there is no mention of them in our history books. If you've never heard of the Denisovans before, you're far from alone. The shocking part: more testing has proved that their DNA is everywhere. Studies propose that modern people from Tibet, Mongolia, Papua New Guinea, and Australia may carry up to 5% Denisovan DNA in their blood. That's not a minor detail. That's a full-blown lineage, an entire species that no longer exists, except inside us. And here's the kicker. While Neanderthals left dozens of skeletons, Denisovans left almost nothing. A pinky bone, a few molars, a jawbone high on the Tibetan plateau, a possible skull in China. That's it. Yet somehow they contributed massively to our genome. So how does a species powerful enough to rewire our DNA leave no trace in the dirt? Did we erase them, or did they erase themselves? In 2010, the news of the Denisovans hit the world, and with its release, it rattled anthropology to its core. Imagine scientists coming to announce that they missed a previously unknown group of hominins. For decades, the story was simple. Humans evolved in Africa, Neanderthals lived in Europe, and the two occasionally crossed paths. Clean, neat. But the Denisovans ruined that neatness. From the finger bone found in Denisovan Cave, Siberia, a new mitochondrial DNA was uncovered. Suddenly, there wasn't just one lost cousin. There was another hiding in plain sight. Even worse, this lost and found breed was just as influential. To top the news, the Denisovans were not a fringe group. They were global players. Since their DNA was found in more than one place, they most likely shaped the immune systems, bodies, and even the minds of entire populations. And yet, their fossils are almost non-existent. How could a species so important vanish so completely? It's as if they were scrubbed away from the record. That's the puzzle we're about to unravel. When scientists pieced together the Denisovan story, they noticed something strange. First, they did find a few pieces of evidence, but these were not limited to the Denisovan cave. They found more across Asia, leading us to believe that the Denisovans had a solid stand, and there are probably more remains waiting to be found. But it doesn't end there. The fossils we do have, like the Xiaohe mandible from Tibet and the massive Harbin skull from northeastern China, don't look like scraps from fragile cave dwellers. They look powerful. For example, the Harbin skull is so huge that it earned the nickname Dragon Man. It has a massive cranial cavity, heavy brow ridges, and a robust jaw. One look, and you'd see that these weren't small, delicate humans. They were built like fortresses. What about the Xiaohe jaw? They are twice as thick as a modern one, with molars so large they look like they belong to a different creature altogether. The Denisovan brain case was massive, estimated to be nearly 20% larger than the human brain case. Not just bigger in raw size, but wired in ways we don't fully understand. Could that mean Denisovans weren't just another branch of humanity, but the superior humans history forgot? Now, bigger doesn't always equal smarter, that much is true. But their DNA tells a deeper story. Within it, scientists have found unique neural development pathways. This discovery hints at brains tuned differently from ours. And what might that mean? It suggests Denisovans could process memory faster, recognize patterns more clearly, and think with a kind of efficiency we can only imagine. Picture a mind storing details like a hard drive, recalling them with near photographic accuracy. And here's where science meets myth. Across Asia, legends speak of giants with extraordinary memory and wisdom. That is, beings who guided humans and seemed to command hidden forces. Were these just campfire stories? Or are they traces of Denisovans remembered as more than human? Mainstream science fights this thought, but when you place the evidence together, the skulls, the brain volume, the genetic markers, it's hard not to wonder, did these ancient humans simply outclass us, not only in body but in mind? And if they did, why are they gone? Let's step outside the cave for a moment. Across Asia, oral traditions describe massive beings who once walked among smaller humans. In Tibet, shamans speak of sky-born ancestors who towered over ordinary men. In Mongolia, they tell stories of robust warriors who lived in mountain fortresses. Even the Bible whispers of Nephilim giants wiped out in a cataclysm. You don't think this is a mere coincidence, do you? Now let's layer in the scientific evidence found. Harbin's dragon man skull, the Xiahi jaw, and the random oversized molars discovered in the cave. Add the fact that Denisovans interbred with our ancestors, leaving fragments of their DNA inside us. Suddenly, the traditional tales no longer sound so far-fetched. Have you ever been short of breath hiking a mountain? That's because at high altitudes your oxygen levels plummet. Most humans struggle beyond 10,000 feet, as our blood just can't grab enough oxygen. But did you know it's different for Tibetans? They stroll around at 14,000 feet like it's nothing. Their secret is not in breath training, it's a unique variant present in their DNA. In 2010, a group of researchers led by Rasmus Nielsen discovered something massive. They saw that Tibetans carry a mutation called EPAS1, which allows blood to process oxygen in thin air. What's shocking is that this gene didn't come from us, normal humans. It came from the Denisovans. Upon further testing on the discovered remains, the same DNA was found on the Denisovans. This means that these mysterious humans had already mastered life at extreme altitudes tens of thousands of years ago. Unbelievable. Picture it. While our ancestors hugged warm valleys, Denisovans climbed icy mountains and thrived in environments we'd normally consider unlivable. To them, Everest-like conditions were no biggie because they could thrive there. In a world where even the best of humans are still struggling to adapt to normal weather conditions, the adaptation level of the Denisovans has trumped the harshest situations. But oxygen wasn't their only superpower. Denisovans also passed down disease resistance genes that still protect us today. Studies show they carried genetic traits to fight the pathogens that plagued early human populations. Indigenous groups in Asia and Oceania inherited these shields, giving them natural resistance to illnesses others couldn't withstand. So while Homo sapiens were wiped out by waves of plagues, Denisovans walked through like it was a mild cold. Their immune system wasn't just good, it was elite. It gets more interesting. Some of these genes are even linked to enhanced responses in modern humans, making us tougher against certain diseases, but also more prone to autoimmune conditions. Sometimes, it seems almost like we inherited too much firepower. Was this just random evolution? Or does it hint at deliberate genetic refinement that started with the Denisovans? And then there's the most enticing possibility, lifespan. Genetic studies reveal Denisovan variants linked to neural resilience and slower cell degradation. In plain terms, the Denisovans may have aged more slowly than we do now. Some researchers speculate Denisovans could live longer, stay sharper, and endure physical extremes without the breakdowns that modern humans face. Combine that with their robust frames, altitude mastery, and pathogen resistance, and you have humans upgraded for endurance. If Denisovans had these superpowers, super lungs, super immunity, maybe even super longevity, then they weren't just our random distant relatives. They were the real deal. A possible super civilization. In 2008, Russian archaeologists were sifting through Denisova cave when they stumbled on something that made jaws drop. A polished chloritolite bracelet. At first glance, it looked like jewelry from a medieval noblewoman. But radiocarbon dating placed it at 40,000 to 70,000 years old. This bracelet wasn't just polished. It had a perfectly drilled hole, likely for a strap or ornament to pass through it. This begs the question: how was such a sophisticated bracelet made in that ancient time? Experts admitted this level of craftsmanship required rotary drilling technology. Yes, the same technology that humans didn't master until thousands of years later. Yet here it was, sitting in Siberia, built by Denisovans. Was this just a piece of decoration? Or can we agree that this is proof that Denisovans had precision engineering tools completely out of place for the Stone Age? If you ask us, it's like finding an iPhone in an Egyptian tomb. The object doesn't just challenge the timeline, it completely shatters it. Then came the discovery that pushed the envelope even further. In 2016, archaeologists found another stunner from the Denisovan cave. They unearthed a 7-centimeter bone needle with a carved eye. If that sounds mundane, brace yourself. Dating back over 50,000 years, the needle earned the reputation of the oldest sewing needle in the world. And it wasn't made by Homo sapiens, it was Denisovan. That means while our ancestors were draping themselves in animal hides, Denisovans were making their clothing with precision tools. Think about it. A needle with an eye requires planning, symmetry, and skill. It also tells of their cultural sophistication. These advanced people were determined not to accept the weather as it came. Instead, they designed clothes to combat it. What does that say about their society? A group organized enough to produce tailored garments must have had roles, skills, and perhaps even trade systems. Doesn't sound like your average caveman, does it? It sounds like a civilization far ahead of its time. Little wonder. History books insist they shouldn't exist. But Denisovans didn't stop at tools. They also left behind ostrich egg shell beads, all carefully crafted and polished. They carved engraved patterns into stone fragments. They shaped pendants from fossilized teeth. Our best guess is that these were symbols. They meant something. Symbolic art implies language, communication, and even spirituality. It's one thing to make a spear to hunt with. It's another to carve a design that speaks to identity, belief, or memory. That kind of expression shows higher order thinking. And this is the kind we once believed that only modern humans were capable of. But with the level of discoveries and technicality we've seen so far, the Denisovans had so much genius.